Hello, welcome to this month's Wallace Branch Bird Talk. I'm Matthew Borders, and today we'll be looking at another familiar yet wonderful feathered friend, the American goldfinch. I'm sure many of you are already acquainted with today's bird, but if not, you're in for a real treat. So first thing we want to talk about is how to identify them. Let's see, so you're more or less looking for 5 different plumages. First we have the breeding male, which is this bright yellow fellow right here. And the breeding female, they'll be about this plumage around April or so, but sometimes as early as February they'll start getting these feathers. And in the non-breeding season we'll have this is the male. He's much less yellow, but still got some nice little patches. Have the non-breeding female, who's very, very dull, but she's still got a little yellow. And then we have the juvenile, who's very, very dull. But they're all, small, round, fluffy little birds. They'll transition from their really pretty breeding plumage here to their non-breeding plumage around, I will say, October, November, and then, as we said before, it's usually around late April or so that they'll be back into their very pretty plumage. The juveniles, once they leave the nest, say late August, mid-September, they'll stay like this until the next late April or so, when they'll get their adult plumage. So, next thing we want to talk about is their ecology and behavior. So, goldfinches usually nest late in the season, particularly around July and August, and migrate usually in mid-fall and early spring, depending on food availability. Here in Augusta, we sit right on the edge of the beginnings of their year-round and wintering ranges, so when we see them is a little bit more nebulous. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. So while you'll really only see them in pairs in the breeding season, they're very social in the fall and winter and can form fairly large foraging flocks. If you ever leave thistle seed out for them, you may get lucky enough to witness some of these cheerful congregations in your own yard, and they can be quite big. Although in the breeding season, pairs usually stick very closely together and are often only apart when taking care of the chicks. American goldfinches are highly vocal, often being heard rather than seen. They give a high-pitched ascending cheep call and a soft chip song in flight. Fun fact, while every individual bird will have some slight variations in their vocalizations, this is across all bird species, but particularly since we're talking about goldfinches, pairs will have almost identical flight calls in the breeding season. Scientists theorize that this may help members of a pair identify each other. They are almost entirely frugivorous, which means that they eat mostly plant matter like seeds and berries, only occasionally eating a bug. Because of this, brood parasites, which are birds like cowbirds and cuckoos that lay their eggs in other birds' nests for the host to raise, those birds have very low success rates with goldfinches due to their chicks, the brood parasites' chicks, not being able to subsist on a mostly seed diet like goldfinch babies can. So now we will discuss nesting a little bit more on the next slide. Goldfinches generally love open areas like fields and will make their nests high up in a shrub. Nesting sites are chosen by both the male and the female, but the female builds the nest. The nest is made up of twigs and has a downy lining of spider silk and plant materials, with thistledown being a particular favorite, and that's kind of across all different goldfinch species. Fun fact, we actually have 3 in North America, just this one around here, but out west we do have the Lawrence's goldfinch and the lesser goldfinch as well. But back to our friend here. The female incubates around 4 to 6 eggs for 12 to 14 days, and both the male and the female will feed the young, with the male taking more and more of the mantle as the chicks mature. The young will leave the nest around 11 to 17 days after hatching. So we got a little picture of the male and chicks. Oh, they're so cute. I love them. As stated before, goldfinches like open fields and woodlands, but can be commonly found in suburbs as well, especially in winter. We were talking about those foraging flocks earlier, being fairly common to backyard bird feeders. So if you look at the map here, this is the range map as provided by the Audubon Society. So you'll see kind of roughly 3 colors. It kind of gets lighter here. But you have 3 colors here. Up here, this part of the range, it's red. Up here in the Canadian tundra, this is where some individuals will migrate only in the summer to breed, and then at the end of the summer, they'll either come back here or they'll go down here where it's kind of bluish, and they'll winter. This area in between these 2 colors, the purple, this is their year-round range. This is where you will find goldfinches at any time of the year. Some populations and individuals will just stay in one place. Some of them will breed here, then migrate down here. Some of them will breed up here, then migrate down here. But regardless, you will find individuals in this area. Summer, fall, winter, spring, you name it. And so here, where it's blue, this is their winter range. You can see we're kind of right there at the edge between their year-round and winter range. So they're more common in the winter, but it's a little nebulous. Sometimes you'll see them here in the summer. Here where it's darker is where they're more common in the winter, and then this light blue area here is kind of where they're a little bit less common in the winter. So that's the range map, and I believe, now that I think about it, that's all I have for today. So here are the sources I got today's information from. Absolutely give these a look over yourself if you'd like to learn more, or check out what's available on the Pines catalog with your Pines card, and you can put some great bird books on hold there and come pick them up here. On behalf of the Wallace Branch Library and the Augusta-Richmond County Library System, I'd like to thank you for watching, and happy birding!